I would like to introduce Trent Carlisle. He's the co-founder of ServeNow, located out of Denver, Colorado. Then we have Jane Rouser, owner of Diversified Legal in Atlanta, Georgia, one of our panelists. Also, Brandon Harley, owner of the Harley Civil Process, TPSA member, and from Killeen, Texas. Then we have Rick Keeney, he's president and CEO of Professional Civil Process, also a TPSA member and located from Spicewood, Texas. And then we have Jeremy Church. He's the ServeManager software engineer, also from Denver, Colorado. So I want to welcome you guys. We're looking forward to your presentation. Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you, Kathy. Can everyone hear me okay? Good? Okay. So I want to thank Kathy and the TPSA board for giving us the opportunity to speak at the conference today. I also want to thank the members, many of whom are our customers on ServeNow and users of ServeManager, for allowing us to be here and listening to us. And a big thanks to our panelists as well for supporting us today. This state and association are extremely important to our company, so it's a privilege to be here speaking to you. In a moment, I'm going to go over the agenda for our lunch so you know what to expect. But I want to answer a question that a lot of you probably have right now, and that question is, what is ServeManager? By a show of hands, how many of you are not familiar with the product? Okay, great. And I think this is a question that was asked yesterday, maybe it was Kathy that asked it. But how many of you currently use a product to manage your business? ServeManager, PST, TriStar, any of the software applications that are out there? Great, so looks like 30–40% or so. So obviously with that question, you know that ServeManager, if you're not familiar, is a software product for process servers to manage their business. Some of you refer to that as a database. ServeManager is a complete business management tool for the process serving industry. So that includes features like job tracking, client updates, invoicing, affidavits, mobile attempts with GPS, job routing, and more. So the agenda is going to run a little bit like this. The panel that we have assembled is just kind of a small sampling of the businesses that have been impacted by ServeManager in some way. It's a tool that's helped a lot of process servers save time, grow their business, make their clients happier. So with the first few slides, and I'll try to run through it quick, but I'm going to cover some of those things, some of the things that make us different as a software partner, some of the benefits that you get by working with us. Our panelists are going to dig a little bit deeper into the features of ServeManager when we ask them the questions of the panelists. And there will be about 10 or 15 minutes at the end for you all to ask questions. So what are the goals of this conversation today? Of course, we would love for each and every one of you to be using ServeManager, but I promise this will not turn into the dreaded timeshare presentation where we're going to hold you hostage. So whether you're using some application to manage your business, ServeManager, or any of the great products that are out there, TriStar PST is here today as well, we really want you to get some insight on using technology more efficiently to run your business. In addition, we want to explain how some of the pending changes in process serving can be supported by using technology to compete. I feel like this presentation can especially be helpful for those of you that did not raise your hands earlier. You're not using a software to manage your business currently. So who's behind ServeManager? Well, ServeNow, a company that's been in the process serving industry for 10 plus years. I'm a co-founder. Adam Camrus is the other co-founder. Jeremy Church, Kimberly Faber, Darren Jonda, all folks that have been involved in the process serving industry for some time. So many of you I know are clients on ServeNow, so we've had a great relationship in that regard. But we're a real company. We're focused on helping the process serving industry grow, and we want to give you tools to improve your business, and ServeManager is a big part of that. Customer support. We support our product. It's one of the biggest praises that we get from our customers and we think we do it pretty well. A recent survey of our customers gave our support team 4 out of 5 stars. Jeremy joked earlier that we got rid of the half star, so we'll be close to 5 stars here in the months to come. We're based out of Denver and have a dedicated staff that gives demos, answers questions. They're there to help you be more successful with ServeManager. You can email us, call us anytime. We even have some clients that text us, and we do a pretty good job if you have an emergency or something you need answered right then, getting back to you evenings and weekends as well. In-house developers, and this is something that is pretty important, we feel. We don't outsource our development offshore or to any other company. We have a team of 5 developers, for the most part, dedicated to the ServeManager product. We do have one that works remote, but the others are in our Denver office. The core of our development team has worked together for over 5 years. Jeremy's been with us for 5+. Our lead developer's been with us for over 7. They really enjoy working together, and I think that comes through with the ServeManager product and just interacting with our clients. Constant development. So we launched the current version of ServeManager about 1.5 years ago. Since then, it's, like I said earlier, it's been the primary focus of our development team. Speaking with Jane earlier today over breakfast, she even finds that on occasion there's some things that she sees logging in that weren't there the last time she logged in. So at times we're even getting ahead of ourselves and letting you know that certain features have been released. Our developers are very involved with our customers. They're quite often at these conferences like Jeremy is. We spent time in a lot of our customers' offices as well. We're not process servers, we're marketers and developers, so we really rely on our users to give us feedback on what they want to see in the application. Education is very important to us as well. We want to be able to show our customers how the product, how the features are intended to be used. But we only can really get good feedback on how that applies to the field if we're having conversations with you all. So every few months or so, we hold, we have webinars quite often, but every few months or so, we hold something called the Pro Series, and that's usually in conjunction with a new series of features. My previous slide showed a maps and routing set of features that we had a current Pro Series webinar on. And we typically average about 80 registrants or so, so our customers are definitely getting very involved in the education component of this. Those are free webinars, like I said, that focus on a set of features. We also have online video guides and blog posts so that if you want to educate yourself at your own pace, that's available too. Customers are definitely becoming fans. It might be a little bit hard to see in the back, but we recently sent out a survey to our customers and got an amazing response, both in volume of responses, but also some of the numbers that we got back we're very happy with. We found that our customers are saving about 25 minutes per job over not using any software at all. And they're saving somewhere between 13 and 15 minutes per job over a software that they had used previously. If you do the math on that and you have, just say conservatively 100 jobs a month, that's almost a full week of work. That's more time with your family. That's time, that's not having to hire that next employee. That's really making significant improvements to your business. And for the folks that, I guess some other data that's on there, 96% say that we helped improve their workflow. 89% say their clients, meaning the attorneys, law firms, paralegals, are more satisfied. So for the folks that also didn't raise your hand earlier and you're not using the software, you really want to think about what the gains could be if you're using ServeManager or some other application to run your business. Community. We have the fans are turning into a community. They're coming together to provide feedback. They're working together day to day. Here's some pictures of folks that are out serving in their office. We even had one gentleman who did the Ice Bucket Challenge in his ServeManager t-shirt and posted that to Twitter and emailed that to us. So they're really getting involved in the product and becoming fans of the product. Inside the application, we've created a directory of sorts where if Brandon and Colleen is looking for someone to serve papers in Houston, Delin perhaps, they can work together and trade papers back and forth this way. And there's obviously a lot of efficiencies by keeping that job in the same ecosystem there. ServeManager in Texas. Texas is one of our higher subscriber rates. From a conversion standpoint, people that sign up for a trial are more likely to convert if they're from Texas. And we feel like we'll probably be close to 100 companies using ServeManager in Texas by the end of the year. We have Texas affidavits. We worked very closely with Delin Nunez, one of our early adopters, to help us get the Texas affidavits in the system. About a year back, we did an integration with Rick over at Professional Civil Process so that his affiliates that are using ServeManager will automatically get their jobs posted to ServeManager, and then subsequently those updates will get sent back to the customer service team over at PCP, and Rick will talk a little bit about that later in the presentation. So with that being said, we'll get into the panelist portion of the presentation. As Kathy said, we have Jane Rouser, Brandon Harley, Rick Keeney, Jeremy Church. I'll give each of them an opportunity to give us a little bit more background about themselves, how they're involved in the industry, and how ServeManager is integrated into their business. So why don't we start with the lovely Miss Jane.
Jane Rouser, Diversified Legal Services, Atlanta, Georgia. I have been serving process for 20 years. Prior background was in fast food, so education was a big portion of my training. I sit on the GAPS board and the education director for the certification program in Georgia. We have 10 folks that work for us, and I have been using ServeManager since the beginning of the year, so 9 months. Prior to that, I didn't have any solution. We were doing affidavits by hand, Word Perfect, Word, and field sheets and everything by hand. So it's been a huge time saver. We were able to integrate it into our day-to-day operations without any hiccups at all.
Brandon?
My name is Brandon Harley, and I'm owner of Harley Civil Process in Killeen, Texas. Been serving process for about 2 years. Prior to that, I was in marketing. Graduated from Central Texas College and Florida A&M University. The reason I started using the ServeManager, before didn't have any system. I was going on to the TPSA website and downloading the affidavits or whatever forms I may have needed and creating folders inside of my computer. But one day my computer crashed. And I embraced technology, fairly quickly, and ever since then, I've had no complaints.
My name is Rick Keeney. I'm president of Professional Civil Process. I've been doing this for 35 years. We currently have 19 offices in Texas. I've got a contract with the state of Texas, the state of Arkansas, and the state of Florida. We serve all their child support cases, all of them, a lot of them. I've got 94 employees. We have 250 servers in Texas, and we process over 140,000 services annually. I'm a founding member of NAPS. There was 80 of us that started it. We have our own in-house IT department. All of our servers right now are co-located at on-ramp, a secure access facility. We worked with ServeManager, like Trent said, a year ago, because we were having problems getting our information back from the servers that we were using. We currently employ, we've deployed about 130 tablets to 130 of our servers here in Texas that we're getting data back and forth instantaneously. My proudest accomplishments, though, I've got 5 kids, 4 girls and 1 boy, 3 grandkids, and all 5 of my kids are working in the business. I appreciate being up here and supporting the ServeManager.
Truly a family business, absolutely.
My name is Jeremy Church. I've been building websites and designing user interfaces for the last 13 years. And I'm also one of the 5 developers who works on ServeManager. And I'm excited to be here today and talking to all of you. Thanks.
So it's not clear we have a pretty diverse group of folks from a business perspective. And that's really what we're trying to convey here. There's a lot of value in technology if the technology is built right and built to scale. We have Brandon, who called himself the one-man show. We have Jane, who fits that small to medium-sized process serving business, and then Rick, obviously, who's built a very large business as well. So to get started with some of the panelists talking about the content here, I want to talk about the cloud, the ominous cloud. We were at an event for attorneys earlier this week in Chicago, and the keynote basically said, the cloud is no longer a conversation. The cloud is safe, it's secure, it's the future, and it's here already. There's one popular cloud-based matter management software application for attorneys that has over 40,000 law firms using that application. That's just one cloud-based matter management software. So the attorneys, the law firms are using and benefiting from the cloud. I've been in software development for 15 plus years, and the cloud's been around longer than I have. So think of your bank, think of email, anyone who's used Salesforce in a past life. We also recently learned that QuickBooks is making an exclusive move to the cloud over the next few years as well. So that kind of puts things in perspective there. But Jeremy, I guess I'll let you kind of embellish on that from a development standpoint, from a technology standpoint. Talk to us a little bit about the gains that the cloud affords.
Right. So the benefits of cloud-based software, it's hardware agnostic. So it doesn't matter if you're using a Windows machine, an Apple computer, a smartphone, whether it's Windows or an iPhone or that kind of thing. It's going to work on any of these devices. So there's no hardware for you to worry about there. Backups are going to happen automatically. So again, you're not going to have that IT person backing up your data. It's already backed up all the time. And if there was an event, a disaster or something, we would be recovering that, and you wouldn't have to worry about that or have that IT person dealing with it. Same thing again, disaster recovery. Some people have told us that if their system goes down, they're going to be down for a day or two, or they have experienced that. Typically, if we go down, it's maybe 5 minutes or 30 minutes, and this could be in the event of a pretty big disaster, but our providers are able to get their systems back up quickly, recover from those backups, and we're moving on, and for you noticed a small hiccup in your day. So our updates to the software automatically get rolled out to everyone. So when we make an update, like the routing feature that Trent mentioned, everyone gets that without having to download anything, install any software, have anyone come out to their office and mess with their computers. You just get that automatically when you log in the next time. And then lastly, you have access to this anywhere and any time. So hopefully you're not having to work while you're on vacation, but if you are on vacation and you need to pull a job.
That never happens with process.
No,
Yeah.
never. So yeah, anytime you need to access this, you can get access to your information and help out your employees and that kind of thing. So yeah, definitely some benefits there over traditional hardware and software systems.
Thanks, Jeremy. So I'd like to get in a little bit to just how technology has changed since you've been in the business. I want to ask each panelist sort of where they see, how's it changed, where they see it going. So Jane, let's start with you. How have you seen technology evolve in the process serving industry?
Since I've been doing it for 20 years, even not just with the ServeManager software, but I used to carry a map book in my car, and now there's GPS, and used to do invoicing by hand, and now we have QuickBooks and ServeManager, and just having a way to integrate everything into one place, I just see that that's the only way that it's going to go. And we don't require GPS tracking in our state, but a lot of work that we do for other states does. So we're ahead of the game by already having that GPS affordability into the jobs. So I just feel that it's everything is going into the cloud. We don't have to keep anything in our file cabinets anymore and papers here and there. So it just is a one-stop way to go.
Rick, you said earlier you've been in the business for 35 plus years. How did you know early on that you needed software to manage your business?
I'm trying to remember back that long. When we started the business, we had, my dad actually, stepdad worked for the constable, so he was a deputy constable. So back then, they actually had a big logbook, those big old yellow brown logbooks that they would record the information in. They had like 15 lines. And that's how we started. So we actually wrote who we were serving, all that information, these big old logbooks, and we had the logbooks. We did that for about a year, and then we started getting in a couple hundred papers a month. We didn't have cell phones back then. We had Uniden two-way radios in our vehicles, and we had those big pagers that would go through a paging company. So things have definitely changed since then. After about going home and trying to sleep and remember what did you do this or did you do that? We couldn't track anything. We had no way of invoicing. So I don't know if anybody knows a company called Radio Shack, but they developed a Tandy Model 16 computer, cloud pro computer back in 1981. That was our first computer system. Had the big old DMP 2100 dot matrix printers. So that's when we started developing software and realized that technology, you need to embrace it. So we developed a program running off of FilePro, which we still use today. And ever since then, every month we're constantly making updates and changes in technology, which you have to in the industry. And just an overview of what clients expected back then compared to what they want now. If you don't embrace technology, if you don't accept it, you're going to be left behind. And that's probably the biggest thing I can tell everybody is you've got to embrace it. It's coming. You can't run from it. And the sooner you embrace it, the sooner you put it to work for you, you're going to find out that it's actually a pretty nice thing. Like she was saying, the map books that we, in some areas there weren't map books. So we'd stop at the filling station and they'd give you the directions past the tree and by the barn. So with technology now, it's just you have to embrace it. So
Yeah. I look at it as, I use technology to keep up with my peers. Most of the clients, they like when I do the automatic updates. Someone else, another server in my area is not providing that service for them, giving them automatic updates. They're going to look at me like, hey, Harley has his stuff together. It makes things more transparent between myself and the client. They can log in if they choose. If I invite them to my account, they can log in and see everything I've done, where I'm at, if I choose to use the GPS feature. And overall, it makes things easier because when I first started, I had clipboards for everything: incoming mail, outgoing mail, invoices. With ServeManager, I embraced it, and it's all there for me. So, moving forward, if you embrace the technology, it will make things a lot easier for you.
Jeremy, being on the development side of things and talking to a lot of our clients, what are some things that you hear commonly that perhaps their clients, the law firms, are asking for, or we can anticipate that they'll be asking for?
The law firms want that instant notification that we keep hearing about, and a lot of them want the transparency. They want to be able to log in. If they can't log in, or if they're not getting an email update, they're going to call you. I'm sure you already experienced that. So being able to let them invite them to the system, let them log in, or sending them email updates, that kind of thing. That's gonna make them happy. They also, as mentioned, the GPS features. Whether they are required in your area or being requested of you, they are going to appreciate things like that. Something that just gives a little more credit to that server. It makes them feel better about it. And if someone comes to them and asks, they don't need to, go down the rabbit hole trying to figure out if that was actually done.
So workflow and operations. I mentioned earlier that ServeManager users are saying they're saving quite a bit of time per job and that their workflow has improved. This is an application that was designed to support several roles involved in a serve. You mentioned the client, the company that they hired, the process server, as well as some of the subs or affiliates that might be down the food chain, if you will, and then the office personnel involved at all those levels. Harley, you talked a little bit about your operations prior to using ServeManager, the clipboards, and not being able to pull up that case information when you're out in the field because you don't have 100 clipboards in the trunk of your car, 2 months down the road. But recently, you've started to utilize other servers in outlying areas. How's that transition been? Has it been, I guess I'll let you just talk about that. How's it been integrating new servers into your system and into your day-to-day?
Well, like I stated, I'm a one-man shop. Every month it seems to get better, and as a process server, you learn that you can't do it all yourself at a certain point in time. There's just not enough time in the day to serve all of your papers. I enlisted some help, and we've been integrating fairly easily. I'll enter all the orders, and I'll look on the map, and I'll say, hey, I want Leslie to go here, and I'll just drag over this area, and it'll assign all of the jobs to Leslie. I don't have to meet her anywhere. I can upload the job to the software, and she can download it from Troy, Texas, and I can stay in Killeen, and she can mail me my affidavit back, and that's an hour I don't have to drive and back and forth. And it's pretty easy. Pretty easy.
So you're seeing that kind of administrative in the office capabilities that you're able to do. Correct. Jane, tell us about your role in the day-to-day operations of your business and kind of where you sit between the clients and your servers.
Sure. Well, in addition to process serving, we offer full attorney services. So we do document retrieval, filings, and just kind of offer everything. And we didn't have a solution out there to get the information to our folks at all. It was all just through phones and pagers, and we've been able to integrate the software now where we can collaborate with our clients, those that you choose to show your work with, and they can see that. And it is a transparent way now to work with our folks. We were doing affidavits by hand. That is like the #1 time saver for our folks that work with me, is the creation of the affidavits and getting them done. They're instantly done. So however you're doing your affidavits now, your returns, it's that alone in itself, having some sort of solution to get that done. We have a requirement in Georgia to turn the affidavits around within 5 days, or there's a consequence for the defendant's answer time. So just being able to have something where we didn't have anything before is just, it's been super beneficial to the success of our company. And we're able to get new clients. I mentioned the GPS was not required. I don't know if it's required in Texas, but we were able to get work now from other states that require GPS, even though we don't have to use it necessarily on all of our jobs. And it gives our folks accountability. If a service is ever challenged now, we use GPS with everything. So it's just an insurance policy for your servers or yourself when you're out there. If it ever is questioned, you've got that. And it's a huge selling point for clients and bringing new business on. And we've pulled in a few new accounts just because we have technology that is not required, but I feel like we're ahead of the game by having that.
Do you want to talk a little bit about how you communicate with your servers in the field and how that information?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's instantaneous, sure. As Brandon said, he puts the job in, but it's automatic. You can assign it to your servers right away. You can reassign it. They get a notification by email. Everything that they need to know about the job is in one spot. Again, your client can see that. The updates are instantaneous, whether you want to share them with your client or just internally with your staff. And that instant notification to the client is another big thing. We were calling them on the phone, or we're drafting an email. I'm sure as we all, as owners and process servers, your client needs to know and wants to know right away. And this is a check mark. You just check mark it, and whatever you want to send to the client goes out, and that is the number one feature that the clients are in love with, is the instant notification. And the time saving for my folks in the field, they don't have to do so much, and they're able to move on to their next job.
Great. Yep, Rick, so, I mean, in a way, you are the client in some scenarios. And
Yeah, it's a different, I've got a different scenario, but it helps us a little differently. But because we've integrated and built the interface with the ServeManager software, I literally can take a document, and we get a lot of our documents electronically sent and data sent electronically through interfaces that we've actually provided with our clients. So it's a little different, but basically what's the beauty of this is that once we get that document in our office, whether electronically or we have the real document, we use smart code, barcoding, tracking systems to where we can take that document. Literally now that we have this interface with ServeManager, we can literally take a document and scan it in our scanners. And my software will take that image, read the image, know exactly which agent to send it to because we've already got that set up. And it will electronically send the document through the ServeManager to that actual ServeManager person. Once they get it, they assign it to whoever they're going to have to serve that paper. And once they assign it to the servee and they're putting in their attempts, those attempts automatically, every 30 minutes, update my system, which my system automatically, depending on the client interface we have, update my clients. I'll give you an example. We have a client, I don't know, in Texas, y'all might have heard of a company called Conn's Appliances. In Conn's Appliances, we have a contract. We handle a lot of their services across the state. And they wanted to be able to be notified within 30 minutes of a serve. And the reason that they do that is they have their own collection departments. As soon as that individual served, they want to be able to call them and try to settle a lawsuit, send a truck over, pick up the color television that they bought or whatever. They want to try to get that equipment and drop the lawsuit. So they want to know exactly when that person serves so they can give them a call. That's just sort of one instance. We have other clients, like the state of Texas, where we have mandated time frames to get that information back into their system. If we don't get that information into their system, we get penalized for it. The state of Texas, Greg Abbott's office is one good example. We have so many days to where we have to get the information in the system. If I send a paper to Virginia and I send it to an agent and that agent has no interface, has no capability of getting us information other than the old-fashioned way, then we're relying on our customer service department to have to take that phone call, enter the information ourselves on what happened. There could be miscommunication. There's all kinds of problems. With the ServeManager interface now, we can send it to that ServeManager agent. They put the attempt information in. My customer service department doesn't even have to deal with it anymore because it automatically comes through my system, saving us time and money. So we're looking, the more that we can use agents, we're looking at focusing now just using agents that actually have this technology, because if they don't have that technology, we don't get that information. So it just saves us a ton of time. The information comes right back into our system based on, if you ever played a game where you told one person something, you go around 10 times, by the time that last person, you know it's totally changed. That doesn't happen with the interface with ServeManager. So I highly recommend it if you're not using anything. Like I say, we're continuing to work on the interface to ultimately allow the actual return of the actual image document into our system. So technology is wonderful if you embrace it, and they're good people to work with. And like I say, it's been a very time-saving and cost-effective method of us getting our paper served.
Thanks, Rick. Yeah, you guys touched on a lot of the next section, client communication satisfaction, so I don't think we need to cover too much of that. But Jeremy, if you have any other kind of pieces that you'd like to add in regards to some of the things that we've built into ServeManager to facilitate client updates? Is there anything that you feel we didn't cover? Or?
No, I think it was explained pretty well. Jane explained this, but just to reiterate, in ServeManager, not only can you share things like events, attempts, affidavits, invoices, things like that, you can choose specifically which to share. So there's going to be things that are private within your company, that internal communications, and you're not going to want to share that with the client. So you can still save those in ServeManager, those notes. Maybe you don't share every attempt with the client. I don't know. But you're going to have that fine-grained control to decide which things get shared with the client and what you email to them. That's for you to decide what you share with them. So,
Jane or Harley, anything to add in regards to communication and client satisfaction? I know we covered that a little bit.
No, not really.
All right. We'll touch on a couple more things, and then we'll try to get to the question and answer portion of the panel. Jeremy, we've like I said before, we've had a lot of success in the state of Texas with ServeManager. Can you talk a little bit about the recent updates we've made to the affidavits? Where's Denise? I know she was excited about that.
right.
Can we jump into it?
Yeah. So we've had Texas affidavits in ServeManager for a little while.
Need more animation on you.
And we actually have had, I think it's 5 or 6 affidavits, but it wasn't terribly clear. It looked like one affidavit, and depending on how you logged the service attempt, it would create or generate different affidavits. So if you logged a service attempt as a substitute serve or non-service or whatever, it would generate a different affidavit. And I think that caused some confusion for people when they were just trying to go and find a very specific affidavit. So they're all split out now. And you can see that when you go to create an affidavit, you'll be able to select the exact form that you're looking for now. So also, if you don't need notary block, now there's the perjury section that can replace that instead. So that should help out a lot of you. And those features went live just 2 days ago. So, and again, anyone who uses the system got those updates automatically.
Harley, you talked a little bit about how you used to do your affidavits earlier. How much time do you think you're saving per affidavit?
Well, honestly, the affidavit is almost done as soon as I enter the order into the system, because next all I would have to do is log in the service attempt. If I serve it, I hit serve, just click on a button and I have my affidavit, versus before I would download the affidavit from TPSA website and then use it as a template and go back over each one and then email it to the client. With ServeManager, it saves me about 15, 20 minutes each time. Just click no affidavit and it's there.
Jane, anything to add on affidavits and invoices?
Well, I was able to streamline my staff and use them for other tasks, because the affidavit creation was the largest portion of their day, was creating the affidavits for all the process servers. And it's a click of the button and it's done, and we can do it at any time. So now I'm able to put that person to do other tasks, and it's been a huge time saver.
So the last kind of section I want to talk about is accountability, and this is a little bit more abstract, but more and more pressure is being put on process servers to provide that accountability and transparency. And if the pressure isn't coming from the client to provide GPS and time data, photos, what have you, for additional proof, then you have areas like New York who are requiring it. Jeremy, you want to talk a little bit about what we have in ServeManager to provide that accountability and transparency?
Sure. So we have a mobile site, and everyone who uses the software has access to it. There's no app to download. And again, it doesn't matter what kind of smartphone you're using. You just open your browser and log into the site. Once you're logged in, you have a list of your jobs, and you can click into a job, get the directions to the job, and then you can log the attempt. So once you log the attempt, it's actually going to record your GPS location. And at that point, you'll fill out the rest of the service details and save it back to ServeManager. So once you've done that, if your client is, if you're collaborating with your client in the system, they can log in, they can see that served, they can see all the GPS details. And again, that provides that extra layer of transparency for them.
Rick, I think you know a little bit about accountability and some of the elements when you're dealing with the high volume clients in the financial sector. Do you want to talk a little bit about what compliance means and what we probably have to look forward to?
Well, I don't know about looking forward to it. Yeah, basically, we've had to go from being a process serving company to learning what compliance means. And we've got some large customers that not only now want to make sure your affidavits are done correctly, but they want to make sure that the process servers that are signing their affidavits are actually their signatures. They want to know that their data is secure. They want to know that we do quality assurance reviews on them. So we have clients now that actually come audit us, some quarterly, some yearly, and it's turned into a whole lot more than what I anticipated 25 years ago. So we've had to put in the quality assurance programs. We've had to design and create our own permissible training programs. Because we have employees now that have access to be able to view and see Social Security information, date of birth information. So it just gets a whole lot more where accountability is more and more and more if you want to get that type of business. So we've had to go to secure facilities, to cameras, to we had to put in a whole system of secure card access where we get into our buildings by actually swiping a card so nobody can just walk into the building. So I mean, it's on one hand it's a lot of work, it's a lot of cost, but on the other hand, that you have to do that if you want that type of business. And what started all this is what happened in New York. You had all this gutter, you had the gutter service, you had anybody over 18 could do it. You have the nail and post where you could just go and attempt a paper and then you could go and post it on the door. And you had everybody, all these process servers getting greedy, wanting to make money, a shortcut by not doing things. And it blew up in the whole state. So AG went and filed suit. All the big clients that were following these got sanctioned and judgments got thrown out, and it was a trickle-down effect. And so what happens is they basically just said, look, wait a minute, we didn't realize that this was going on, so now what are we going to put into place? What's the accountability? What's this? And they wanted to make sure that process server was there at that place. So that's where this GPS tracking came in. It's not required here in Texas. We've been doing it for about 7 years now because we know eventually it's coming here. But you have to wonder as an owner, if you have employees or if you have independent contract servers out there serving your papers, you have to, you're trusting that they're at those addresses, that they're making those attempts, they're not falsifying those returns of services. And the only way truly that you can really do that is by tracking their locations. We've let go of many process servers that have said that they, were doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they weren't. The certification, the program that we have in Texas is the best in the whole U.S. It's the best. We've got the best program in the whole United States being certified in the Supreme Court right now. And it has a way of getting rid of the bad apples, and it has gotten rid of a lot of the bad apples. But basically, as you grow, And as you get bigger clients, it's more than just process serving now. You've got to be able to provide to them that their data and their confidential information is safe and secure. You have to do that. So we have inspections of our servers. That's why I was telling you earlier, we have all our data at a co-locate facility in Austin, Texas, a secure facility, backed up, redundancy. The same thing, it's the cloud, as the cloud. They're just a bunch of servers that constantly back up data and send them off-site. You have this. So the cloud's not a scary thing. It's just, it's been around a long time. And that's how all the other institutions do it. My worst nightmare every night before we had the system that we have was knowing that when I came to my office the next day, the building was going to be burned down. And all my data was gone. I mean, that's the scariest thing. If you've got, a lot of money in invoices, and we're paperless on this data, and you walk in, imagine everything being gone. So, having the information to where it's through the cloud or whatever, where you know it's there always, I've slept good ever since.
Well put. Jane, you want to talk a little bit about the accountability portion of this?
Well, sure, and ours isn't as elaborate as Rick's, but I want to get rid of all the files that I have in my office and all the paper, and we're paperless to a degree, but now we've got the ability through ServeManager to have all of our important documents sent there. Everything is secure and encrypted software, and I'm going to eliminate any documents being held in my office anymore. I don't want to have the key card, and we're requiring to redact information now with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and it is just becoming more complicated, and it's adding more layers to what we have to do every day. So I'm continually looking for ways to simplify, and so we can get out and serve the papers and get that done, and it just adds so much, what we have to do now adds so much more time to our day. So I'm looking at using this particular program to help with that compliance and get everything out of my offices and out of my servers' hands so that we don't have an issue like they had in New York.
Any questions for us?
You showed there an 89% satisfaction rate. What are you guys doing or to bring that up to a higher than 90%?
So it was the 89% of ServeManager users felt that their clients, law firms, paralegals, were more satisfied. Great question. I mean, we're constantly developing. We have a dedicated team. We've been at this there was a previous version of ServeManager that was just kind of free and out there. This version of ServeManager has been live for a year and a half and ever evolving. We're constantly developing this thing. We have a team of 5 developers focused on this. That's really the best answer I have. But if there's feedback that any of our users have that say, hey, my clients, want this or they need this, then I think Delynn might be next up. But hold on. Wait for the mic.
What they're doing is everybody that works there, I call them CFTs. They're constant forward thinkers. They are always thinking of what we can do to get ahead of the game. Always. I've never seen a group of people that are just constantly thinking in advance and coming up with ideas. They're never satisfied. They're never sitting down and saying, oh, we just completed this, now let's rest for a while. They're always coming up with new ideas and new ways to think, what can we do next? Let's jump to the next project. And that's what's bringing up the percentage of satisfaction.
Thanks, Lynn. Did that answer your question? Or okay, great. Well, as Rick was saying earlier, I mean, you're running on basically the backbone of the software you've had for 30 years, and every single week, every single month, you're making additions and improvements to it. You know, it's a constant, and you know, we're in it for the long haul. That's why we didn't offshore some development and be like, you know, here's a product. You know, we sell marketing too, but here's some software you can buy. We're committed to this product, and we have a team that loves building it. It's fun.
What is the cost?
The cost is based on job volume. At the lowest end, we're talking $19 a month for 40 jobs, right, Jeremy? You might see that bottom tier go up for new accounts at some point in the next couple months. And then it just kind of goes up from there. Once we get over 1,000 jobs or so, then it's easier to have a conversation about what you really need, because ultimately there might be some, you know, reporting or, you know, some data that you might need more access to, so you can, you know, run reports and things like that. But at the highest tier that we have published, it's 1,000 jobs at $219 currently. But like I said, if you go beyond that, we do have plenty of customers that are beyond that. But we really want to have a conversation with you, because we know that you probably have some workflow needs that we want to talk about, so that, you know, you're happy with the product.
When cooperating with the attorneys or the services, is there a way that they can leave the notes back for you on ServeManager instead of them returning an email? Because I'm having to convert that email to a PDF and then upload it into ServeManager.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you invite them to collaborate, they can log in and add notes to the system. It'll email you just so you know you have a new note from them, but the note will be in the system. If you decide you don't want them to be invited into the system, you can still email them the notes, and they can reply to that email and it will go directly to you. So it just depends on, is your client savvy enough to log in? Is that something you want them doing? You're going to have the ability to do either. Just email them or let them log in and add their own notes and things like that.
Okay, next question. You said that you changed the notary block on the affidavits. Did you change all of them to under penalty of perjury? Because I personally don't want to use the under penalty of perjury.
Yeah, there's actually an option. You can select either. So you can toggle back and forth and choose whether you want the notary block or the perjury section. So yes, on all of them.
Security sign-in, I don't think that it's very secure for the security sign-in. You know, if somebody gets a hold of my password management, somehow gets through there or whatever, it's pretty easy to get in.
How would you see it done differently? That's maybe different than your email, your bank, other
Well, both places with my database search and my bank, I have to have them send me a code on my phone or email.
every time you log in?
Yes.
And you said you do use a password manager?
I use LastPass, yeah.
Oh, well, that's great. And do you let it generate passwords for you?
On some things I do, yes.
And that's just for everyone. That's your best bet is to use a password program, and every login that you have should be a unique password, and let that password program generate that password for you. It'll be a 32-character password in a lot of cases. It's just gibberish, and if someone happens to hack your email address, they're not going to have the same password for everything else. So that's just a recommendation in general.
And you only have to remember one password to get into that password manager.
Right.
I mean, especially with, you know, being a notary signing agent, there's tons of companies that I work for that have 5,000 different passwords. And this password manager is awesome for that.
One comment I want to make on the password is we're required under these larger accounts, we have to change every user's password every 90 days. So they have to be changed. So it might be something that people get used to where, you know, just you have to, you know, get that password changed. It has to be certain characters and all that. So.
Any other questions for us?
Thank you so much. We really enjoyed that. That was very informative.